international community, and it has stated repeatedly that it aims at leadership in the field of human rights and an aspiration to join the European Union, which means a set of the deepest possible reforms with a view to joining this values union, as we've heard earlier. I've been asked to speak about what would make for an operational law. There is one level, which is the legal details, which I think we've worked on for 4 years. There's a second level, which is about how to make a law operational in a society and a living instrument that all people can have access to. The fundamental precondition for an operational law is an understanding and commitment among the public at large and among the public officials serving the public at large around the idea of equality, of the indivisible value of equality. We will not have an operational law without that fundamental commitment. What the public learned on Thursday of this week is that its government would go to Brussels and negotiate exemptions from certain fundamental rights. It learned that the leadership was prepared to go to the European Union, this institution to which it is making fundamental commitments about values, and treat those values as if they could be, in a certain sense, bargained. I've been here for 3 weeks. I think Thursday was by far the worst day I've spent in this country, because we take seriously this government in its pronouncements on its commitments to human rights, and a public message which said that it will negotiate the content of those with international institutions. It's difficult for me to see this week about how we move forward from that moment. I also want to speak, and I have to say, we have been waiting. This debate has been stolen, as you know, as everyone in this room knows, has been stolen by fascists. I'll just say that clearly. It has been stolen by people who have manipulated the debate, who have said that it's about something which it is not, who have framed the question around things that are utterly irrelevant to the question of equality law and to the deepest commitment to equality that we have in the 9 core fundamental human rights treaties to which Moldova is a party. That said, and we know that out there it is a very difficult environment, it has always been necessary for the government to come forward and explain to the public what it is about. And that has not happened. We saw on Tuesday night an ex-deputy minister of justice make the case. He did it, I think, with the highest of respect for Nicolae Ieșanu. He did it passionately, coherently, with all of the correct legal and public arguments. But he is not a current member of this government. He's a former deputy minister and a current law professor. That leadership means telling the public what it's about. To my civil society friends, we have had long discussions about how to handle LGBT in this discussion. And I think it's time also to say that we need to be clear. The reason LGBT is important is not because the other side has decided to fix on it as important. The reason LGBT is important is because the human rights movement is a debtor to the LGBT movement. The human rights that we have in law are the imprint of a history of movements. We have a ban on slavery because people worked on a ban on slavery. We have a ban on child labor because people worked on ending child labor. Women vote because for 150 years people worked on gender equality. Today's human rights movement globally is the LGBT movement. So you who are working here on human rights, your first priority should be assisting in vocalizing the fact that we now are working on that issue. That's why every year now there is a resolution in the UN Human Rights Council, which Moldova has not yet joined. It is one of 2 European governments that has voted consistently against the resolution. So we need to work here on LGBT rights, not because it is one marginal group, but it is because it is the central group in today's human rights struggle. That needs a commitment from everybody in this room. So I hope that we take the stock of this week, which was a terrible week, and see that we now will have commitments from the public authorities to explain to the public why it is a central part of our values that everybody enjoys rights equally, and that we need to hear that from the highest levels, not because it's good for business, not because it's good for money, not because people will get to travel freely, but because it is sewn into our public values in a way that nothing else is. And secondly, that the time has come for LGBT people. That we are free now because of the work that our grandparents have done, and our grandmothers have done, our grandfathers and their grandparents. And we owe our freedom to other people who are the oppressed among us. So when we gather in the interest of LGBT rights, it's not simply because it's one among many grounds. It's because it is what today's ethics owe the future. So I hope that we can have an operational law. I think at the moment we have no conditions for an operational law. I think we need to work forward to the future to work on an operational law. I assume that we will see something adopted soon, but I don't think it will be something operational, because I think we have failed for the past 4 years to move the conditions for an operational law. And I think every one of us in this room is committed to seeing really an operational law, and that means work for all of us.